everybody, welcome to episode 17 of the Cash Flow Joe podcast presented by Pips Path. I'm Pip Stellick, joined by my business partners Steve Hipple, Bradley Strack, and Sam Musa. Steve, how are you doing today?
Real good, Pip.
Awesome, very good to know. You don't usually answer me that way, but that's good. Bradley, how are you, my friend?
Always.
And so, Sam,
reversal.
How are you doing, buddy?
He stole my line. Always.
He stole your line.
I know.
I think it was cooler when I said it.
Maybe it was.
I don't even know what it means, but I'm glad you're always cool.
Yeah. That's right, baby. Cool.
At Cashflow Joe, we're here to help beginning investors with their first transaction, and seasoned investors make more money on their deals, do more deals, and to do it with more leverage and to keep you safe. Our company trains and mentors thousands of students all over the world to become successful real estate investors. For more information about us, visit our website at pipspath.com, where we have tons of resources for you to get started now, including your personal scorecard, where you can fill that out and have a one-on-one consultation with us about what you can start to do now. Today, we're going to continue on with part 2. If you were on our last episode, if this is the first one you're listening to, you need to listen to 16 because it was part 1. So part 2 of this is we're going to continue on with foreclosures. And we left off with Steve, who talked about the impact it has on homeowners. Bradley talked about why banks don't want foreclosures. I kind of set the stage about Peggy and Al, who are going through pre-foreclosure right now, and the bank wants to get paid, and how can we help them out? Steve, you've actually, one of your first deals years ago was a gentleman who was going into pre-foreclosure. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. The gentleman going to pre-foreclosure, I'm going to use the name Al, all right? Just keep the story going, Al and Peggy. The name wasn't Al, so I'll try not to mess up the names because I'm just doing this to keep Pip's story going. And why?
To protect the innocent.
Why?
I think you can use your own. You can use a different name because that's going to screw people up because they already are talking about Al and Peg in this deal.
Okay.
Your deal's different, so use whatever name you want. Just don't use Al because that's going to screw people up.
I don't want to mess people up.
Maybe you could use Alan. No, I'm just kidding.
Well,
no, use.
My guy's name was Caleb, so he used a real name. It was Caleb. So, and why am I going to tell a story that happened a long time ago? Well, it's my very first pre-foreclosure deal, and I think a lot of our listeners, you're looking to kind of do your first deal, second deal, third deal. I think, and if maybe it's your first pre-foreclosure deal, some good information here for you. So I'm going to be talking about it, my very first pre-foreclosure deal, which in fact was a second deal I ever did as a real estate investor. So that's pretty cool. I was able to help a young family out of a tough situation. So Caleb, he had a girlfriend, he had a couple kids, and they're no longer living in this home. And they fell behind on payments, and he actually went and talked to his mortgage broker to see if he could refinance a property, delay payments, miss a payment. He was just looking for all kinds of options. What can he do? Caleb had lost his job. Caleb didn't have any money. Caleb couldn't pay the mortgage. He couldn't pay the electric bill. He couldn't pay the taxes. He was just in a world of hurt, as Pip says. So he's in a tough situation. The mortgage broker, I had contacted her just recently before that about looking for properties, looking for deals, looking for lease option tenant buyers, looking for anybody that has to sell their house quickly, ideally for a discount is what I was looking for, and help out some homeowners. And she called me up right away because she knew I was looking for people who were in pre-foreclosure. And so she gave me Caleb's contact information. I called up Caleb, made arrangements to go look at the house. So here it is. Oh, also in this property, Caleb had to sell it in 11 days. He had to sell his property really quick. So it was important for me to buy it fast. So I drop everything. And of course, I'm not a big fan of looking at houses before you buy them, but the way the situation was, the timing was, and being my second deal, yeah, I went and looked at it, even though I was breaking the rules a little bit, but I was brand new and I had very tight timelines. So I went and looked at the property. Caleb and I would go look at the property together. And he had this property for sale by a realtor before that, and it didn't sell. There was no offers. And so now he's selling it privately for sale by owner, and time was tight. So I go look at the property, and the property, it was moving condition. There's pride of ownership. He had lived in this property up until maybe 30 or 60 days previously. What happened? The utility company turned off his electric, so he had no heat. And this was winter. This is early December back home in Canada. So it was getting cold. Him and his girlfriend, they got an apartment, so he couldn't live there. But the place inside was clean. There's no trash, no debris, nothing kicking around. Like you could move in there, turn the electric on, get some heat in there. You could move in there anytime you like. Not only that, but there was an upstairs apartment. So I get there and he said, let me show you the upstairs apartment. I said, there's an apartment? So now I'm looking at a single family home, but it's actually a duplex. And I find out later it's actually a legal duplex I'm looking at. Go look upstairs. He had just redone the entire upstairs apartment. New kitchen, new bathroom, new flooring, new paint, move-in condition, ready to go upstairs. The main floor was very livable, not fancy, but very livable. Clean it up, you're good to go. I mean, like get a cleaning company in there, you're good to go. And so a lot of pride of ownership in there. He didn't want to leave the home. He had to leave the home. I had to find a place more affordable for him and his girlfriend and their kids. So I made an offer to buy the property. I said, Caleb, how much do you want for the property? He gave me a price. What do you think I said? Guess what do you think he did? He took the price he gave me. He thought about it. I said, and I shut up. He dropped his price by $10,000. I said, Caleb, the price you're asking is the same price you gave me with a realtor asking, and you got no offers for 6 months. So you're asking too much. He said, you're right. He dropped that price by another $10,000 and another $5,000 and another $10,000. I said, okay, stop. Okay. Eventually, said, Caleb, we're good. I think we've got a good deal. I didn't want to take advantage of him. Just stop. We're good. I put that property into contract on the spot at a significant discount. It was less than half the asking price he was asking with a realtor. He had a problem, and I was able to fix his problem. So I had to get a home inspection, had to verify title was clean, all these things. Home inspection, checked out. Title was good. I closed on the property. So bought this property, and I could go on so many details about this deal with Caleb. I'm not going to go into all the details, the entire story. I'd be here for 4 days, but it's a spectacular deal. But in a pre-foreclosure deal, I helped a family out of a tough situation. Some of you guys might be thinking, oh, you took advantage of somebody in a tough situation. Well, I actually saw Caleb on day of closing, the day I took possession. See, Caleb's whole thing is he didn't have any money, and he had a couple young kids and a girlfriend. I'll sell you this property provided I get paid in time to have a family Christmas. So he was not going to have a family Christmas because he didn't have any money. He'd lost his job. His truck was broke. It was like a bad country song, as Pip says.
Well, it's interesting because I think part of the story you might have left out was at the very beginning when you were going to look at the house. They were having some issues. I remember you saying that you told him you were ready to go look at the house, and he was a little bit disheveled. And is that the right word? Is disheveled a word too?
I had to give him a ride. I said, I'll meet you at the house. He says, well, actually, could you give me a ride? My truck's broken. I said, sure. I don't know this person, but yeah, I can. So he gave me the address of his apartment building we were staying at, and it wasn't a great neighborhood. It wasn't a terrible neighborhood. So I go to the apartment building, and there's no secured entry. So I basically walk in the apartment building and go to, it was a main floor apartment, room 1A or something. I knock on the door, and as I'm waiting for somebody to open the door, I can hear a female voice inside, and she was loud and not very positive, and it sounded like somebody's in a lot of trouble, and I think it was Caleb who was in a lot of trouble. So I knock at the door.
That's a good sound effect.
And I can hear some rustling around inside. I practiced that when you guys are gone.
I bet you did.
I practiced that at break. So I knock on the door, and I hear some rustling around, and the door swings open. This lady is still loud, kind of not very positive. She's screaming, right? She's just screaming at him for whatever reason. He opens the door. He's got his coat half on. He's putting the other shoe on. He's bouncing around. He's almost falling over, putting his shoe on. He gets out of there. He closes the door as fast. He's like, oh, okay, let's go. So not a good situation at home, obviously. So we get in the car, and he's telling me about he lost his job, and his vehicle's broken, and tough situation, and he wasn't going to have a family Christmas.
This is my favorite part of the story, though.
So
when you get to the house,
how much time do you want me to spend in this story?
You got plenty of time. This is a great story. This is what this is all about. So, is making sure people see that.
So he told me he would sell the house if he could get paid in time to have a family Christmas. So we get to the house, and we're just pulling up in the driveway, and it snowed overnight. We're in Canada. It snows there, right? So this is early December. No electricity. Electrics are shut off there. No heat inside, and some fresh snow, maybe 3 or 4 inches of snow overnight. I pull up in the driveway, and he says, "Okay, well, let's go inside." So we go to the front door, and he's, I forgot my keys. Forgot my keys. Oh, and I'm thinking, I got to go back. He says, "No problem. I can go in a window at the back." So at this point, this is going from between him getting yelled at and almost falling, getting out of this place. And then now we get there, he doesn't have keys. He's gonna go in, he's gonna break in through it. I'm thinking, does he even own this place? This is getting weirder and weirder. And so he says, "I'll be right back." So I stand in the front porch. I'm waiting. It's cold outside. I'm waiting. I'm looking at the home. I'm looking at the yard. I'm looking at the neighborhood. Just kind of looking around, doing a quick assessment. 2 or 3 minutes go by. I might as well have a look at the backyard because I got to see it anyway. And maybe he needs a hand. Where is he? So I go around the backyard and I see his footprints in the fresh snow. And those footprints lead to a tree beside the back porch. And they go to the tree and they disappear. So he's climbed this tree. I take a few more steps in the backyard and I look up at the back roof. And he's got like a little porch in the back up to the main home. And he's got a window open, and he literally he's fallen inside. He's like, there's a guy there. He's like, "Oh, okay, I'm inside." And so he says, "I'll meet you downstairs." So I walk around back to the front door, and I really does this guy even own the place? Is he breaking in? He opens the front door. He's like, got snow in his hair. He's got snow in his coat, and he's brushed himself off. "Let me show you around." He's I really apologize. This is not very professional. I'm thinking, well, professional exited a long time ago, but I wanted to see this home.
That was my favorite part of the story.
Oh,
I love that part because you find a lot of interesting things when you go out and talk to sellers about properties, and that one is as good a story as I've heard.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, and he's just a good kid in a tough situation. And so I look at the home. Upstairs is great condition, main floor just fine condition. And so, make him an offer to buy the property. Now, the property had an issue, a basement foundation issue. And so basically there was a river going through the basement. Walked in the basement. There was a little lake, but it wasn't a lot. It wasn't a big problem. A lot of other people looked at that and it scared them away. It almost scared me away. And so through this deal, I've been talking to Pip. This is my second deal. And I said, "Pip, I've got a good lead on the home. Here's the numbers, here's the mortgage, here's the value of the home, here's what I can buy it for. I got a home inspection, it checks out. I've got the financing in place, the estimates to repair the property." Nobody is going to film my renovation of this property because my estimate to repair the property was $4,000. $4,000 to fix the basement and do a little bit of patchwork on some drywall and some minor electrical. And it was a $4,000 renovation. So I said, "Caleb, I'll buy your property. Let's do this." And day of closing, this is where I was getting to the story earlier when people say we took advantage of a young guy in a tough situation. Well, I don't think so, because day of closing, I saw Caleb in the parking lot of the law office. And we basically had different attorneys, but the same law office. So I had gone in there and brought my check and signed, and he was going in there to pick up his check. And I saw him in the parking lot. And I'd already left kind of the office, and he was walking towards the door, and I had a choice to make. I said, I bought his property at less than half. I think it was 47 cents in the dollar. This was in 2011. I bought that property at 47 cents in the dollar. So wasn't a deep discounted market, wasn't the time to buy properties at half price, but in my second deal, I bought a property at a significant discount. And there's a seller. Should I call his name? Should I take the long way around and avoid him? But I was brought up with integrity and good ethics. So I said, "Hey, Caleb." I start walking towards him. He sees me. He's a little nervous, and he comes up to me, and then he says, "Is everything okay? Can I close? Can we close on time?" I put up my hand to shake his hand. I said, "Caleb, go in and get paid. You can have your family Christmas." This is at noon on Tuesday. He did not shake my hand. He pushed my hand out of the way, and he gave me a big old hug right in the parking lot at the attorney's office at noon on Tuesday. So he's hugging me, and he's happy. I saved his problem. I saved his family Christmas. He walked away with money in his pocket, and he had his family Christmas. He got what he wanted. I got a good deal. So a pre-foreclosure deal, I helped him out of a tough situation. I helped him avoid bankruptcy, garnishment. I helped him all these problems. He had his family Christmas, put his family in a better place. It was win-win-win all the way around. So deals like that are fantastic. And that was my deal number 2. But like I said, Pip was the one telling me, keep proceeding, keep going. This is my second deal. I didn't know much about pre-foreclosures. I knew some basics. I'd taken a class, but I didn't know how to apply it. So I kept talking to Pip. And during my due diligence, I call up a realtor, because this was for sale by owner. I call up a realtor and say, "Hey, can I get some sold comparables? What's this property worth when it's all fixed up and done?" And this was not a great neighborhood. This was not a neighborhood I wanted to own property long term. It wasn't a war zone, but it just wasn't where I wanted to invest. And the realtor at the time, this is 2011, he says, don't buy anything in that neighborhood. Steve, the entire neighborhood's for sale. Because back then, it was very much a buyer's market, and that neighborhood was not in demand. So back in 2011, that neighborhood, every home in that street was for sale except the one I was trying to buy. And he says, you're trying to buy the one property with no for sale sign. Buy the one across. And my realtor said, don't buy anything. That neighborhood's not good. And I go to City Hall to check title, make sure title's clear, find out, it's a legal duplex and title's clear. The lady at City Hall says, buying with a realtor, that's risky. But I'd taken classes, I had some knowledge, had some common sense. I also had a mentor in my back pocket. And I could always say, well, if I didn't know the answer to that, let me get back to you tomorrow. Let me talk to my mentor. I'll get the answer and I'll get back to you tomorrow. Would that be okay? Of course, it always was. So during my due diligence, a lot of people told me I was crazy to buy property. My friends and family told me I was crazy to buy property and buy property in that area. They didn't like it. Fast forward, bought the property, did the renovation, fixed the basement, put it for sale. I sold that property. I owned that property for 72 days. Made $23,000 on that property. Is that life-changing money? It was a good chunk of money at the time. I was happy to have it. It was my second deal. I made a good return on my money, got to help a family out of a tough situation, helped them avoid foreclosure. They got a good deal. They walked away with some money in their pocket. I got a good deal, and I sold it to somebody. Actually, I sold that property to another investor from out of town. Toronto investor I met at a networking event. Do you see, networking is so powerful. She said to me, her name was Nadia. She said, Steve, you're in Sarnia. If you ever come across any good deals, let me know. Well, I didn't really know what she meant by a good deal. We didn't get into that, but I had a property. And I told her, I said, Nadia, I just had an appraisal on this property. I fixed it up. It's a legal duplex. Here's the appraisal. I'll sell it to you for 80 cents on the dollar. She says, I'll take it. I gave her a no money down deal. I wasn't getting greedy. I didn't want to get I just want to sell it and move on. It wasn't the neighborhood I wanted, but it was a neighborhood she wanted. So I sold her to it 80 cents a dollar, and she got a no money down deal because with the equity in the property, that was her down payment, and she bought it one phone call because it wasn't greedy. But because of what Pip taught me and helping me through that process, I would not have probably done that deal on my own because it was just too many variables, too many unknowns, and not a neighborhood I want to be in. But at the end of the day, pre-foreclosure, it changed that young family's life. Now you've got the knowledge. So the first deal I needed some help on, but the second deal, third deal, I knew what I had to do, knew how to do the process, do all that stuff too. So, but it's very rewarding, that one deal with Caleb.
Well, and on one of our previous podcasts, we were talking about mentorship, and the whole key about mentorship is having somebody who's been there, done that. And I find it interesting that the lady at City Hall was telling you how to buy property, and where do we get our information from? I wonder how many properties she's bought in her life. And nothing against that lady. She may be a great person, but where are you getting your information? And so it's imperative that you have the right people holding your hand. And that's what the path is all about, is supporting people through their process of buying property. So Sam.
It's actually one more thing, add in one more quick thing, but the lady at City Hall or the realtor who was just, I was getting negativity, but I had to ask myself, are these investors? And they weren't. And time of closing. So back home, we go to lawyers to do the real estate closing. It's not a title office or title agent. It's lawyers we go to back home. And so I'm sitting across the desk at my lawyer who was using to close this property, very successful, very distinguished, mature lawyer, well-known in the city. I used to see him at the golf course, but very respectable lawyer. And he's sitting across the desk. This is my second closing. He'd seen me in there literally a month before that in the first closing, which was a investor area. And my home was actually not far from his home. We were not really neighbors, but very close. I'd see him quite often in his yard type thing. So we lived nearby each other, but we weren't next door neighbors. And so I'm sitting at closing with the lawyer, and he's looking at the paperwork, and he's very distinguished. I felt a bit intimidated because of my second closing. I'm doing things a bit differently. I bought a property in maybe an area that I wouldn't want to live in, but a great investment area. And he's looking at the numbers, and he's looking at me, kind of over his glasses. He's kind of looking at me, and I felt like, oh, what's he thinking? Like, what's going through his mind? Is he thinking I made a mistake? Is he thinking I'm foolish? What is he thinking? He took maybe 2 minutes to look at the contract, look at the paperwork, the address, the price. And he looked at me 2 or 3 times during this. I'm like, oh, he's going to say something. What's he thinking? He says, so Steve, you looked at the prices. You bought this property. I said, yeah. He mentioned the price. Yeah. He says, you bought the land. You got the home for free. And I said, so I got a good deal. He said, you got anytime you get a home for free, you bought the land, but you got the home for free. That's a good deal. And that's the check mark I needed. And fast forward to, it was deal number 4, deal number 5. And that was a pre-foreclosure deal also. I'm at closing, same lawyer. And he's looking at the contract again. He says, Steve, you did it again. You get another property here. You bought the land, but you got the home for free. Again, he says, so I'm doing okay. He says, oh yeah, keep up the good work. So it's pretty cool when you get confirmation by your power team or your attorneys who are not real estate investors, but they know prices and numbers. He does a lot of real estate transactions, so he knows the market right back then. And you get that confirmation. You buy a piece of property, you buy the land, you get a home for free. Obviously that's a great deal. You do it over and over and over.
That's awesome. And so we've talked about, why the banks don't want foreclosures on our last episode. Steve just talked about why homeowners don't want foreclosures. So Sam, help us out here. How do you negotiate with the lender? Let's go back to Peg and Al, and they've lost they're going to lose their house. They're behind on payments, and we're just trying to help them save their credit, save some pride. How do you put together that deal where you help them out and help the lender out at the same time?
So yeah, the seller of the property, the one we're trying to help out with the foreclosure, to stop the foreclosure, has to give us the ability. They have to sign a release, a document that allows the lender, in this case, if we use the example as a bank, to allow us to speak to the bank directly and ask them the questions that we need to find a solution for everybody, including the bank. So we're trying to find a solution for the bank and the person in pre-foreclosure. So once they sign the release and they give that to the bank, we can call the bank up and we can ask the bank some questions. We want to verify the mortgage. We want to verify the monthly payment. We want to verify how much they're behind, if there's any fees or legal amounts that have to be recouped or requested by the bank. We want to know exactly what they're stuck for. And once we have all that information, we are going to ask the bank to actually reduce the amount that's owed in back, not necessarily back payments, but legal fees, things they can reduce. Now, we're not going to parse that out. We're just going to ask them if they can reduce the amount that's owed. The bank typically is not going to reduce it to zero, but we're always going to ask. And negotiation is one of those things that you'll never make more money in investing when it comes to real estate compared to negotiation. Negotiation will always make you the most money in the amount of time. And simple things, as Steve mentioned, and we've mentioned several times, saying, when someone says a price, you repeat the price and go, This tactic will make you tens of thousands, if not more, of dollars simply following the step-by-step process when you're doing your negotiation. So when we're asking the bank if they can reduce it, we can anticipate they're going to say no. But whatever they give us is great. We want to take it anything that we can in the way of a reduction. Often the legal and administrative is something that's on the table. Back payments, maybe not, but we're trying to get it as small as possible. We're also going to ask the lender to give us some time to fix this problem. So we're going to ask them to defer the payments for 60 days. 60, and if we get 30, great. If we feel like we need more time, we would ask for more time. But we're going to ask for some time to resolve the problem. And we want the bank to know that we're stepping in to take care of the problem. We're stepping in to take over the payments to ensure that the loan does not go into default, which is exactly what the bank wants, because the bank does not want to follow through the foreclosure. As Pip said before, did you say it? I don't know if you said it again, that the cost of the bank is sizable. They do not want to take that cost on, and they don't want the property on the balance sheet. They don't that's a liability, really, or a non-performing asset, as they would say, to their bank. So if we're coming in to help the bank, they're likely to give us some help on resolving the problem. Once we've negotiated a reduction, if possible, and we have the facts, now we can structure a deal, go back to the seller, and we're transparent. If we did get a reduction on what's owed, we let the seller know, and we explain the good news and the bad news. The good news is you're not going into foreclosure anymore. The bad news is you're still going to have to leave the house, right? We can't keep them in the house. And the reason we can't keep them in the house is clearly they've demonstrated that the cost of that house is more than they can manage. And what we do is we move them into either a rental or another rent-to-own opportunity to become owners again. But what we want to do for them is to stop the foreclosure, because what this will do is two major things. It'll save their credit from further damage, and it'll also give them the ability to become a homeowner in the next few years. Whereas if they default on it, and this is recorded on their credit rating, they're not going to be able to purchase or find it extremely difficult to get a mortgage over the next 6-7 years or even longer. So we're trying to solve the problem that we can, which is stop the foreclosure. We cannot, unfortunately, keep them in the house. We want to make sure that we set them up for success. So we move them to a home that they can afford in a neighborhood they can afford if they choose to be homeowners again. If not, we'll put them in one of our rental properties. So we're trying to get all the facts so we can put the best possible solution for everybody involved, including the bank. Yes, we're going to help the bank. And we're going to help the homeowner, and by doing that, it is a serious, big problem. Foreclosures are. You will make sizable returns on foreclosures because of the size of the problem. The bigger the problem, the bigger the paycheck. So that's what we want to do when we approach all our real estate deals. Just understand the problem so you can understand the solution.
It's about helping people when it's all said and done. And one of the questions I don't know that we've addressed yet on here is, how do we find Peg and Al? That's a tough question. A foreclosure property, easy to find. Like I said, you drive around, you can find that sheet of paper in the window. But a pre-foreclosure, I've seen people that the house was in immaculate shape and they were behind on payments. And people would be like, well, why would somebody take great care of their house when they're going to be losing it? I've seen people that were cutting the grass and taking care of the flowers on the weekend that they were going to lose it on Monday or Tuesday of the following week. And the question might be, why would they do that? I can give you many reasons. Pride of ownership, I think, is one. Habit. They're in the habit of keeping it that way. Maybe there's some hope that they're going to be able to sell it and keep the house. But I think the main reason that somebody might take care of the house even though they're going to lose it shortly, is because they don't want their neighbors to know what's going on. I think that's the big one. We've been told our entire life, grin and bear it, put on a happy face. We want to keep up with the Joneses. I don't even know the Joneses. And so
they apparently had it pretty good.
Apparently they did, because everybody wants to keep up with them. And so I think that is really a major portion of what we do here is we find people that have problems. And just running simple ads. Running simple ads like, can't make your payments, we can. If we can't buy your house in 7 days or 14 days, whatever the number you want, we take over your payments. I've been running that ad for over 20 years, and it works. It gets people to call. Can't make your payments, we can. If we can't buy your house in 7 days, we'll take over your payments. That ad creates urgency. And if you have urgency, you will get stuff done. If you have no urgency in life, if you're listening to this stuff and just going, oh, that's nice, that's cool, that's all right, you're not going to get anything done. But if you take the information that we are putting out here and you start using the tools that we have on our website and you have urgency to get it done, you'll start making some significant changes. And that's really what it's all about. If you have a big enough why, we can show you how. You bring the effort, we bring the support. These are the things we talk about on a regular basis. And what I've noticed was when somebody is going to lose their house and they figure out that they are going to lose their house, you are the best solution that they have. They're going to work with you. Because if you don't help them out, guaranteed, sheriff is coming in at some point and they're going to kick them out of the house. We can help them save their credit, save their pride. And in many instances, you heard Sam say, get them into another property that they can afford. I know some of you guys are thinking, why would you get them into another property that they can afford? Because guess what? If you help them out and you help them out again, and you help them get into another property, you're going to help them. You're going to make money in that scenario. So each time you help somebody, guess what you have the opportunity to do? Make money. And if you realize the more people you help, the more money you're going to make, guess what? You're going to wake up in the morning and you go, I got to find somebody who has a problem, because that's how I'm going to get paid. And we all want to get paid. Turn to the person beside you, say, I want to get paid.
I want to get paid.
We all want to get paid. That's what it's all about. We want to get paid. Now, you have heard us over the last number of episodes talking a lot about rent to own and lease options and all kinds of different terminology. And I know that you're not going to probably learn exactly how to do a foreclosure deal. You're not going to learn exactly how to do a lease option deal from a podcast. But what we keep directing you to is places within our website where you can learn that stuff. And that's what this is all about, is directing you so that you can get the help that you need. Our next episode is going to be on lease options, or we call it rent to own. They mean the exact same thing. We're actually going to take, a number of episodes to go over the different elements of lease options, rent to owns, because what I know about lease option is that there's always people out there that want to get into a house that can't quite afford it. And here's what I want you guys to do. Before you listen to the next episode, if you're going through and listening to episode after episode, if you're taking some time in between, before you go on to, is that going to be episode 18? Is that right, Bradley? Before you open up episode 18 and listen to it, what I want you to think about, and this is so important, I want you to think about one family in your life. It may be somebody within your family. It may be somebody at church, at work. It may be somebody that your kids, their parents, the parents of the kids of your kids' friends, that can't get into a house right now, that's got a problem. I want you to think about a family just like that. And what we're going to be talking about as we get into the next few episodes of our podcast is, how do we help that family get into a house that couldn't get into it without us? And obviously, we're going to show you how to do it with none of your own money and none of your own credit. And so how many people can you really help if you don't need money and credit? I just want you to think about one family, because that is why I continue to teach and preach, and whatever words you want to use, about helping people. Because if we help other people, we're going to create differences in this world. And I believe the reason we were put on this world was to help people and help our fellow man and woman to be able to get what they need in life. And here's the cool part about it. When you help them and you do it the right way, and you're an intelligent, educated investor, not only do you help them, but you help yourself, and you get paid along the way. And as Sam was talking about this earlier, you can teach this to your family. And when you teach your kids, Sam, you're not only teaching your kids, you're teaching what? Their kids and their kids and their kids, and right on down the line. So that's why it's so important you guys are seeing this and listening to this in a very specific way. I hope you have intention with what you do, because if you listen to these with intention, you're going to go out and help some people. And that means we're doing what we're supposed to do, and you're doing what you're supposed to do. So before we get out of here today, I just want to say it one more time. If you haven't already, subscribe to our podcast, whatever platform works for you. We want for more information on investing and how we can help you, go to our website, pipspath.com. Please follow us on social media. Places, it's Pips Path to Property and Cash Flow Joe Podcast on places like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If I missed any, I'm sure you'll let me know. Oh, YouTube. Probably need that one too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so leave us a comment, give us a follow, and we will see you on the path.